Hey everybody, I think we're going. We've got music playing here in the background, so I think I hear that. We're going. Today is going to be a different one. I'm going to be unboxing, and I might be assembling some miniatures, I'm not sure. I got from Games Workshop a few weeks back, maybe a month or so ago. I got this Warhammer Introductory Set, which I'm actually excited about. I want to see what they're doing with this. Don't know if I've actually bought one of these. It's something I would actually consider, especially since it has some gene sealers in it. Although I have Warhammer, the Warhammer Space Hulk, 2 copies of that, and there are some advanced gene stealers. They may just be tyrannids in this. I don't, you know. I mean, I believe these are gene stealers, but it's been a long time. But you're not even seeing this, but these appear to be gene stealers on here. I did work on some more stuff. I actually saw that the Spider-Man Marvel United is coming to retail. It's going to be at Gen Con. I think it's been delayed a little bit, so it's going to be at Gen Con with limited availability. I'm trying to get through all of my Marvel United stuff beforehand, but I'm not going to get before that. But before I receive the stuff for the 3rd wave of Marvel United, I kind of heard maybe there's going to be some more coming, which is a little unfortunate because there's a lot. But anyway, I'm excited about it regardless, and I'm definitely excited about the Spider-Man one. I thought it would be more in time with the movie, but obviously either the production delays and stuff like that were an issue. Hey Ryan, and I see Tom Green in there, designer of a pretty fun game, so we're gonna just do that and go see what's in here and review it. It's been I have not played Warhammer 40K for a few versions. What was the last one I bought? I just looked at the 3rd edition, so I know that's not the last one I bought. But I have several. I have Shadow Spear. When was that one done? That's not like a real main box. I do have some of them. I don't know, it's been a while, and I'm actually excited about checking them out. Especially because, they keep changing the game and maybe making it a little bit easier to use. There was the boarding stuff that they did recently that I did not buy, and I actually would like to get to see what that's like. I think you can use plastic acrylic paint on your plastic coins. You would just need to make sure you put a varnish on them. I recommend, if you're going to do something like coins, I recommend that you use a gloss varnish first, then do like a matte. Unless you want them gloss, I mean, that's fine, but gloss is going to be more durable. But the issue will be that people will be handling them. I mean, I'm the worst. You give me some coins tokens and I'm going to be stacking them and monkeying with them, and I think that could potentially wear the paint down, but I don't think it's a real problem, especially if you varnish them and just pay attention to them, because the varnishing helps protect them. That's why I'd say maybe varnish and then another matte satin coat, so it has a bit of a sheen but not too glossy. But that would be my suggestion, and a Shocky, that's what I would suggest. I've not painted any coins, now that I think about it, and I have Tainted Grail. I don't know if it actually has plastic coins. I never actually got to look at that game, so Awakened Realms sent us that game for possibility of covering it, and everybody's like, oh, it's too much. We did do that. We reached out to them at the beginning of the year to get ISS Vanguard, which is a game that Scott really liked, and so we did film that one. That's coming. We actually filmed it probably a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago. It was just very big and a lot of editing and a lot of preparation for that. We switched to 4K on our show at the beginning of at the end of the last season, because we were just testing everything to see that it would work. And what paint would you use rather use if not acrylic painting? Well, if you're going to do that, I still feel if you're going to paint things like that, you're going to handle a lot, you would need to varnish it. But an enamel paint would be better. Maybe what you could, I'm not really certain what you want to do on those, but if you bought a, let me see, I have the GW. Now this is just a primer, but this is essentially, this is an enamel paint, and they're generally tough. If you purchased an enamel paint, let's say in black, a matte black, and then dry brush them, that might be cool. I mean, there's lots of options to do that. I still feel acrylics at least a lot friendlier and more comfortable to work with. No problem, Shaki. But yeah, I feel enamel would be tougher. I'm showing you this, but you can't see it. Let's cut to the down cam. I am a knucklehead. There we go. So this is the an example of an enamel paint. I have this old one, probably almost the same kind of stuff. Haiku enamel. This is flat white, but you should get like a satin or a gloss one, and then I would dry brush standard acrylic silver over that, to or gold or brass or copper to make the coins different. I'd have to look at them, but I think that would look pretty great, and I would still varnish them. Varnishing is pretty critical. I think if you're going to handle any kind of stuff, enamels will still break down and get them rubbing against each other. I kind of think I recall seeing what those tokens look like, and so that could potentially wear them out, right? But I think it'd be awesome because I don't love the metal coins ultimately. They're just heavy and they make everything kind of a pain. So yeah, I'm excited about the Marvel United. I worked on some more of the Warhammer Underworlds. I'm not zoomed in on that. Let's zoom in on it for a few minutes. The Iron Skulls boys. So I it's funny, I worked on 3 of them now. I started working on this one to match this since I've got a second set for Scott. And it's weird, like this came out with a sheen to it where this one did not. It's the same paint. I'm not sure what I did differently. Maybe I went just completely, I did use the, which one is it? Wildwood raw from the pot. Maybe that is the issue. I don't know. I never can figure it out with all this stuff. This one here I worked on weathering his shoulder pads, and I think that looks pretty cool. So I worked on that, worked on adding some kind of, not really rust, but like just some sort of a dimensional coloring to the axe, but I might actually do some real rust on it, like a dry brushing. I have to decide. There is a great, they're not great. I don't love the GW dry paints, but I really did like the rust. You've never painted anything. Well, you won't ruin anything. Let me say that first. You can always clean your miniatures. There is I saw Rogue Hobbies, Louise Sudgeon, show the new stripping stuff from, not new, it's been around for a while, but they had a new version of it, or a new packaging of it. Now that's British, so it's not going to be easy to get, but I've used this, LA's Totally Awesome, which I have purchased at the 99-cent store, I think, or the dollar store. They're everywhere. It was $1. And this stuff works. It really strips it down, but the issue is, so you could paint them and then be unsatisfied with it. Do I ever paint blood on my weapons? Depends. I actually have some blood effect paint, from GW, which I have not tried, which I'd love to try. But this Totally Awesome works. You soak it for a good amount of time. I don't know how long. I don't recall how long. But it'll take the paint right off. You use the brush, you take it off, but then you must clean it very, very well before you paint it again. That is just the nature of that stuff. Heat, wingspan, the crew. Well, I would suggest Heat. That's my favorite, but the Crew is a pretty fantastic game in a package for not very expensive. This is Will McCutcheon asking that. Yeah, we've got everybody asking some questions. It's pretty great. Tokens that come with chip theory games are near indestructible. That's pretty great. I wonder, now, are they colored already? Those, I mean, we have some chip theory. We have Cloudspire has those tokens. They're similar to the ones that came in Splendor and Splendor Duel and Wonderland's War, the deluxe Wonderland's War tokens. They're fantastic. You're from Switzerland, but I get the point. Yep. But yeah, you can absolutely strip them so that you can order the stuff from, let me look it up because you should know it. The new stuff from well, actually you can look at it on YouTube. You're on YouTube right now. But you can look at Rogue Hobbies. She put out a video recently that showed just a quick stripping of the minis. So you don't need to sweat it. You can always repaint your miniatures, and yes, you lose a little bit of time, but you know what? It's learning. And I think starting with coins is a great idea because it's very simple. You can learn some basic techniques where you prime it and then you dry brush it. Dry brushing is very simple. I don't know if you know anything about doing that, but I would, with a coin, I guarantee you a lot of the times when you see even the metal ones, they do dry brushing on them to make them look worn. And I wish I actually had some. I know I have some coins here somewhere, but I think they look pretty great. And you shouldn't be afraid. Been loving the Arc Nova on BG. I heard that actually took. I heard that Arc Nova took down the system, or really hindered the system because they were having so many people play the game on BGA. We actually had a meeting with. So we did a live stream a few weeks. Let me cut back. We did a live stream a few weeks, maybe a month or so back, with Bruno Catala for his new game. I can't remember the co-designer on that, but it was it's called Lumen, and we just had, it was just a day of errors. We had a problem with our internet, right as I'm getting ready to edit the Twitch information and the YouTube information, the network goes down, and so then I'm running around trying to get that going, and that is a weird situation. I honestly feel it's related to our gateway, but I don't know. We pay a lot of money for that service, and I'm sad that we have issues. But it's not often. But anyway, we had such a heck of a time with it. There was at one point I'm using my phone thinking it's Nikki's, because we have almost the identical phone. She has like a slightly lesser version of the Pixel 6. And so I thought, you know, I'm sending Bruno something, and he's like, I only see GameNight Hecubus. I'm like, oh. So we figured that out, but they saw us and they're like, hey, why don't you guys, we'll show you how all this stuff works. And so it was great. We actually got one of the guys that's based in Britain for BGA, and then one of their community managers help us with all that. And it was really great, really helpful. Anyway, but yeah, they told us that Arc Nova had serious troubles with their systems. They actually had to get a new server. But yeah, I really like those types of tokens that are in Splendor and Splendor Duel and Wonderland's Wars. They're great. They're kind of almost like poker chips. But I've heard it's very expensive to actually insert, to do those stickers. I almost feel like they should just print the stickers and have us do them. I mean, some people will be upset about it, but I'm one of those people that would be happy to be doing that. I love sticking stickers on stuff. Let's see here. But yeah, you can get some good strippers. We're going back to Shaki. You can get some good strippers to strip models. I have done that many times. I've used crazy stuff. I've used brake fluid back in the day, and that was when I actually did some plastic ones, but I did metal, and goodness gracious, what terrible stuff to be using, because it is I believe petroleum-based product, pretty nasty. But I now am using more of these. Simple Green is one that you use. I think it takes longer. This one here, the LA's Totally Awesome, is not, it says not toxic, right, I think, but you know, I don't know about that. Let's cut here. Let's see. No, I mean, the funny thing is like they say non-toxic about, I don't know, this doesn't say keep out of reach of children, so there you go. But this stuff works. I actually saw Adam Smasher recommended it on one of his streams, Tabletop Minions. And so we went out and bought it. And this is the second bottle of this stuff that I've had. We actually use it as a cleaner too. So there you go. Let's see here. Where do you purchase most of your board games? There's somewhere online that competes with Amazon. So I mostly buy from Miniature Market. They have the most, like the best stock. I still buy some stuff from Amazon. We actually purchased a game that we are putting on GameNight soon called Paint the Roses. We wanted to get the deluxe one, which usually we don't do when we do a show for GameNight, because we want people to get it, be able to get it. This one is available. There's more of an expansion, which we kind of went into as we were discussing the end of the game at the end of the video, which is unfortunate because there are things that are not in the regular game. But anyway, we wanted the tokens that are similar to Board Game Geek's Geek Up tokens, and it was super good looking, and so we went for it, and we explain it in the video. I do think we need to make an edit about, or something about the discussing the expansion stuff that they had. They're little expansions that came in. That I guess there's two versions of the deluxe as well, one that has that stuff and one that does not, which is unfortunate. But we loved the base game. We have not played any of the expansions yet, but we had the greatest of times with the expansion. I mean, with a base game, and we also figured out. Scott taught us on the BGG cruise that game, and it turns out he had played the prototype years ago, actually, well before the game came out. And there was either he forgot, which is completely understandable that amount of time, two of the rules, and we thank goodness Nikki did a careful checkup on the rules before we played it, and so we got theoretically that right. We did have one problem where things change in the game, and we forgot the movement of the queen at one point. So Paint the Roses, you're in Wonderland, and you're the gardeners in the Red Queen's garden, painting the roses and stuff. So you have to keep track of what her whims are, and so and she gets faster I guess the more angry she gets as you're not getting what she wants done, and so it was crazy. Anyway, I think I'm on the down cam. I keep going back and forth. Anyway, so let's get to this. Again, this was sent by Games Workshop a month or so ago. I did have to sign an NDA about it, which was interesting and exciting. They've sent me some stuff before. They sent the Warhammer Quest Lost Relics Battle Arena game, which I had played before 3 or 4 years ago, an earlier version of the game with Space Marines, and then they also sent one other one. Warhammer Quest Lost Relics, that one. Oh, and like a Blitz Bowl, I think is what it's called, not Blood Bowl. So like probably a smaller, I want to try them all, but the one that we still want to do on the show is Lost Relics. We were supposed to try to do that at the beginning of the year, and it just has not happened. Been way busier than we'd expected. Let's see. Anyway, so I literally have not opened this up. Not that that's, super, I'm sure you can pretty much guess what's going to be in here. Let's zoom it out a little bit. It is exciting though. They give you, I have had a starter introductory set sort of thing previously that I bought because it had orcs, which was cool, and I don't really have a lot of orcs. And it came with paints, quite a few paints. As a matter of fact, these are them here. And they are tiny bottles with barely anything. This is an actual ink, actual known oil, so it's the older known oil. Barely any paint in them. So I feel this is based on the cover here, I feel this is a more generous inclusion of paints. And it's got like what you need to do, I guess that has the Marines too, so there you go. Although I would probably use some blue and purple on the Gene Stealers / Tyranids. But yeah, this actually has, I've seen the outside of the box, so I basically know what's going on in it, but I did not open it. So yeah, you get a handbook that hopefully shows you how to paint and play the game, how to build them. These are, I believe, push-fit models, so I don't know for sure. That is an assumption. let's read here. We might need glue. But yeah, it's got the fantastic illustrations that they always have. One of the best things I love about Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000. Looks like these are glued. So this is not push fit, which is cool. I love push fit, but you can't do custom poses. With this stuff, you could potentially do custom poses. I did not finish them yet, but I put together some Chaos Marines a while back when I was in Germany with Sebastian. And, you know, these were great. They're harder to put together, I will tell you that, because you have to hold them for a while before the glue cures. And, you know, most glues, super glues that are for modeling, give you more time than you normally get with real cyanoacrylate, where it dries very quickly. But if you had it so it dries really quickly, you would glue your fingers together and stuff too often. But yeah, so they're showing you like what you need here for building and painting them. How to paint tyrannids. I will probably not paint these Marines in Ultramarines blue. I just have done it. I mean, obviously, I hadn't painted anything blue, and I decided to do these. And they're not done. I mean, there's certain levels of stuff done on them, but they're not quite as far along as I'd like. But I love it. I mean, they're really fun to paint, and I've never done these. I have a Chaos Marines. Actually, I think I bought something with Sebastian. In Germany, they had a recent box set, that Warhammer set, that had Eldari and Chaos Marines in it. And he wanted the Eldari, and I already have a bunch of Eldari, so we just bought the box and split it, which was great. So yeah, they've got, like, you know, I love that they're doing this, where you get a small set to get into the game that's not terribly expensive. I do not know the cost of this one. It just got announced last weekend. I could not, we were recording, so I couldn't actually do a stream on Saturday, which I kind of hoped we would, but Dave was leaving town, so we wanted to film with him. Hey, it says Zalsharf, which is fun, by the way. Oh wow, so the colors they're colored minis already. No, they're not. That is pretty funny. So they show them in here as purple. Maybe that's just for representative, but they show purple and blue. Anyway, I have never done much with Tyranids. I only ever did the Tyranids that came, or the Gene Sealers that came in Space Hulk, and I did those with Scott and Dirk back in the day. I painted the Space Marines for that first, because I had actually never really done many Space Marines when I got that, and so I was excited to paint them, especially Blood Angels, I believe is what, yeah, they were Blood Angels I painted. Wow, so here's it's nice looking, but it is hey, let's see here. You know, it's a fold out thing, but it shows two different types of terrain. That's cool. It's always fun to have something like that. And I think some of the more advanced sets will have, like, the next level up has like a, let's see, there's a picture in there. Let's look at it real quick. It has a terrain, it doesn't have any stuff in it, but the main box often you use the main box as part of the terrain, and then as you go up, you get more. Yeah, see, a range of 2 battle mats and a range of Citadel terrain. So, you know, you can keep going up if you really are into it. This one has 12 Space Marines and 27 Tyranids. That's a lot. This is, but I mean, here's a game that you can play that actually is with a small amount of Marines and Tyranids that you can then incorporate into a larger army as you go. So this is a very smart idea to me, and it's everything that does this. That's what I love about Warhammer Underworlds, is it's small forces that, you know, war bands that you can mostly bring into, almost every time I think you can bring them into the regular game. That one in the case is Age of Sigmar, Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Yeah, this is a good idea, especially because, you know, who knows it, when you're starting, how much do you know that you want to do? So here's the paints. They give you 5 paints, and boy, these are in there. Oh, they're just shoved through. Cool. So yeah, this is a full-on base Wraithbone. Let's see how it shakes up. It looks pretty terrible here, but it's brand new, so it shouldn't be too bad. I'm using the Vortex mixer that people keep asking me because I put it off camera. It's in a lot of people's videos. I've had this one for like 7 years, and it's been great. I bought it for like about $70, maybe 60-something dollars back then, and it's a little more expensive now, but I feel it's great. It's small. Let's see, I can probably bring it into the shot. This is it. I actually moved it to this side so that I could pull it into the shot so people could see. And so it vibrates when you press down. So it's meant to do test tubes and things like that. It was co-opted, I think. First thing I ever heard about them was for folks doing nails. You know, like when you want to get that usually enamel paint mixed up really, really well and get the metallic metal flake inside that stirred up, you need to do the whole thing. So there you go. This actually does a pretty good job. I mean, it does a great job of mixing it up, and I need to put a bearing inside there to make it a little easier. So this has got Wraithbone and base Nagaroth Knight. Let's see if I can pull this through. Yep. Abaddon Black, which is a base color as well. You know, to go up, so this is another base McCrag Blue. There's also, the next level up is a layers. So as you get more and more skilled at painting stuff, you can move on up to the next level as far as, yeah, these are great. So there you go. So 5 colors. Then we have the Gene Stealer models. Wow, so these are actually new sprues from 2023. That is not always the case. I've never done an unboxing for GW stuff. I don't think I've ever done an unboxing. I don't think these are pushed together pieces. Maybe they are. Usually it's I mean, these have limbs, but maybe. We'll do one here today. Might as well figure it out. I would love to actually paint them, but it will take me too long to get everything together. And then there's the Space Marine sprue. So there you go. Let's see how new this one is. See, I think this is something that you can use for the game as well. Space Marines are from 2023. So there you go. That is really cool. So they're giving you new stuff. I don't know how different they are necessarily from other units, but that is great. They give you the bases. They give you a side cutter, which looks like it's reasonably good. I actually watched a video from the painting phase where they interviewed a guy, Tom Hiddle, who was developer, and I have the nippers that he had mentioned were the first ones that GW did that were branded, but they were literally just licensed, like purchased bulk or whatever, and then and these are fine too. I mean, they'll work forever, and this seems like it's very similar. A bigger jaw, more of a flat point, but we'll find out. We're going to try them out. And then they got the bases for the varying units, larger ones for the HQ units and stuff like that. And they also give you a brush. Now, there is no cap for this. Oh, here it is on the other end. That's real helpful to protect it, but amazingly enough, it's not too bad. I did, as I watched that video I was telling you about on the painting phase, the interesting thing was, wow, there's a lot of sizing. And let's zoom in a wee bit. Wow, very sticky. So that helped it protect it too. The interesting thing is they were saying that there's the ruler. Wow, cool. Interesting. So this may be usable as, I don't know, we'll have to see, as some of the, it's showing you to cut it. So it makes it an object so that it will block on the field. That's a great idea, a great way to do it. So there you go. This is not focusing in, of course. But yeah, the measurement ruler, very cool. But yeah, I like that they're doing this. So you can see here they have cutting lines to actually turn this into something. That is a good idea. Might as well. I mean, especially because I don't feel we should waste the boxes. And most people pull the inserts out. So This is just a starter brush. It's probably fine. I'm using very, now this is curved. This is from maybe Sitting in the Box, so I will use some of my, I will use some of the, this is made in the UK as well, this set. I don't know if the brush is actually made in the UK, but I was watching that painting phase video and they were saying that what are they called? They're brushes that are like $30 a brush are actually made by Winsor Newton, and they're Series 7 brushes. So that's actually pretty great. If you want to have some, because I actually, on the cruise, I talked with a friend of ours, one of the BGG admins who does does our micro badges. He was saying he really prefers to use the good brushes like the Winsor Newtons. And I can't say I blame him. I think their brushes are fantastic. I just know how I am, and I'm not so great. I have a tendency to, I think, poke a little bit too much. Actually, I should not have done that. I'm not really done with that. So what you do to try to resuscitate a brush a little bit, and this will be fine. I like that these bristles are black. You're going to see any of the lighter colors for sure. I leave a little bit of the soap on the brush overnight to let it kind of bring back the point. It does have a pretty hefty curve there, which is a bummer. Let's see if I can show you here. So yeah, it's starting with a curve, a hook as we call it. I call it anyway, which is unfortunate. We did go see the Indiana Jones movie yesterday. We really would have liked to have seen it before we went on the cruise, but we just did not have the time. So Dave had seen it and said it was okay, and it's good. It's fine. It's a lot of people don't like the fourth one, and we don't mind it, but this one definitely doesn't feel as much like an Indiana Jones movie because it's not made by Indiana Jones people necessarily. But I still think it's pretty cool, and I like Mads Mikkelsen. I wished he was in the movie a little more. I like him anyway. But he's in the movie, and it's cool. It's good to see it. And we just wanted to see. I'd seen all the movies in the theater, even as a youngin' for the first one. And I said to Nikki, I really kind of want to see it. Let's just go. And it was funny because there was an old couple that came in at the last minute. We saw it in the afternoon. That was another thing. I just didn't want to pay a lot of money. And we have a brand new theater near us. Well, it's a year old now. And we've had mixed experiences. I think we've been there 3 or 4 times. Mostly seeing movies in their IMAX theater, which is okay. The other theater was better. It's the same, but it was pretty good. And we had the seating was great and everything. It's super comfortable. They have all these relaxation things. You can recliners. You can kick it up and they'll come in and deliver food, which is cool. But this older couple came in right as the movie was getting near to start, and they were having problems with their phone. And the lady had like a wig on and some, I don't know. And then first thing she says when the movie starts is she's like, Disney? Since Disney owns Lucasfilm now. And then later, I don't want to tell you, it's a spoiler. Anyway, something happened and she was questioning that, and I was just like, ma'am, look at yourself. Anyway, I was taking this book because I actually want to look at their building instructions here. Let us see. Yeah, I love their illustrations. They just do, and they're painters. I've been learning a lot by listening to the painting phase, and David Peachy is has no problem talking about like the history of when he was there, and that yes, they didn't necessarily paint all of the minis backside. That seems like it's a rare case where they only paint the front. Interesting though that they do show them in blue and purple. It would have been cool if they had done that, but I have some. They do the Warhammer Underworlds in colors all the time. So, but they do want to encourage you to paint. I mean, that is part of the whole scheme. Let's see. But interesting, I'll have to really go through this. It'd be fun. Now, this is probably a lower complexity set of rules. Take your game to the next level. Look, you cut out the objective markers. Plus, it's cool. It's telling you stuff. An objective marker is usually a 40mm circle. I'm sorry you're not seeing that. Many hobbyists build custom objective markers to match their army and to reinforce the narrative of their games. That is actually true, and it is actually fun. Interesting. So they do show you using Agrex, Earthshade, Corax White, which is not in here. Their whites are not great. Armageddon Dust, that's actually pretty good. I was looking at one of the ones. Oh, these. I might choose something like that for the bases on these. They got some skulls. They got some of the vines that I see in some of the other kind of Warhammer Underworlds thing. Let's see which one has the vines on. Here we go. This one has vines on it, which is cool on the base. So, I mean, these are Warhammer Underworlds. Oh, it's funny. Orcs could easily go both ways. Saw the Barbie movie. It was really awesome. Wow, 10 to 10. 10 out of 10. Very cool. The trailer looked fun for that. And Oppenheimer looked pretty great, too. That opens tomorrow, really. Doesn't show how to assemble. That was alt front. I saw that and completely forgot it. Here we go. I don't want to do a Marine right now. I love the Marines, but Infernus Squad. I actually want to paint more. I mean, I'll show it again. I had a really great time painting like this much more complex. I think this is a Terminator. So I want to do some more of these. I have I have so much stuff. I have so many minis I don't need to buy. But, they've changed. Primaris, I guess, is the name of the new Marines, and they're bigger. And I have some of them because I've got some things from them I've purchased. But I haven't really... Termagants and Ripper. There you go, Termagants. And Ripper Storm. Check the part numbers carefully. So we're going to do this one here. We'll start with whatever this guy is here. 1 and 2. Is that what they're telling me? Okay, well, here we go. So I will show you how that works. It's not really very hard. And we'll see if they're push fit. It says push these pieces together slowly. So then maybe it is push fit. So one of the things, see now these limbs are going to be very likely to, they're going to be a little more fragile. And I make the case that you should glue them. I usually glue my push fit stuff regardless. I just closed that book up. Let's see. Okay, where's the paint? Let me just let's read this. Let's not just jump in as I normally do. Follow these guides to build your Tyranids and Space Marines. Some of the plastic frames, no sprues, will have some spare parts left on them after you're finished building the models, because you can optionally choose other stuff. Using the clippers, hold the clippers like so. To use them, squeeze gently with your fingers and thumb until the blades meet. Clip as close to the component as possible. Take care not to accidentally clip off any parts off the model. I have done that. Line up parts carefully. Push them together. So there you go. No glue is required. Right there, says it right there if I'd read that. That's pretty cool. Push fit is fun. I don't love super glue. I use it all the time, but it dries out so darn quickly. I end up buying very small tubes to make sure that it doesn't dry up completely before. It still dries up before I use up a lot of super glue because I'm just not that big of a user. What I normally use is something like this, although this is very little left. It's been, I think I bought this 4 or 5 years ago with Scott. Plastic Weld. I love this stuff. Plastruck is based here, I think, in Southern California, yes, City of Industry. I've gone to their company store and bought raw plastic materials from them for model making. And But this stuff is tough. It really does weld the plastic, and I prefer it. It doesn't dry as fast as super glue, but it's more forgiving. Now, when you use that, you can't break them apart easily. If it's super glue, you can actually generally break the glue so that you can reconfigure them if you want. I'm a little bit more certain about how I'm assembling things, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. I mean, I think GW only sells super glue now. They used to have PVA, they used to have plastic glue. Their plastic glue was great, but they put it in a terrible bottle that just would evaporate. But I really liked theirs. I felt it was awfully close. I mean, who knows who made it, but it's awfully close to the ones I use from the Micro Weld's the other one I like to buy. I don't know if I have any Micro Weld floating around anymore. I think I do, but it's in much smaller bottles. This is great because it actually comes with a well, the other problem is, of course, with these types of glues, they may not actually glue the kind of plastic that you're using on a Mini. So the plastics on I had to use super glue on this, tried to use the plastic weld type stuff, and this had to be super glue. It would not, the other glue would not dissolve the plastic to bond it. And so then I had to pin this. It actually broke like the stud that holds this together when it was shipped. This arm like must have taken a hit from being moved and it snapped it off, so I had to glue it on. I mean, you know, your mileage may vary. I don't want to deal with sending it to a publisher back. You know, it's expensive for them and I can fix it, but you know, you've paid for that thing. It should be in good shape. So there you go. These are the parts for this. Let's see how good these side cutters are. They are not super great, I can tell you. Hey, they are branded though, forged with their name on it. But I honestly feel you don't have to. I know some people who probably do lots of assembly probably love to have. Should I play a game? Yeah, I would add glue, yeah. Anyway, so let's see. People that do a lot probably have some issues. I love that video from the painting phase about all the products. They were saying, PG was saying that he got blisters, because you know, he's cutting lots of models using one type of the cutters that they had done, a later version of them. So you press it up, let's see if I can get this to focus. So you press it up against the miniature, and then you clip it, and you try not to you want it to be as clean as possible, at least I do. I mean, you can always sand this stuff down later, but I like to get it as clean as I can. Now, there's a different type, I can't remember the name of them, maybe bypass shears. I think they actually mentioned them too. They are good. I've used those before. I don't own any. But there's a type of shear that will do these could potentially pull, this is what they absolutely said, and they're 100% correct on that video. These could actually pull the plastic out, which then would require you to, you know, maybe put some putty or sprue goo, or what's the other thing? Liquid green stuff is what they used to sell, and what they still do. I have not really bought that much stuff. So now you can see the head has, it seems like it's on, let's get in here if we can get it close. It seems like it's on one side of the skull here, and over the head itself. And so you kind of want to lean it towards that. And then, are we getting there? Everything but the tail, this other part of the tail. So I always look at it carefully. I have absolutely cut the wrong thing off, you know, like trimmed more than you should or whatever, so be cautious. I'm being a little carefree here. So there's one. It looks pretty good. So you can see right there's a bit of pop out, and actually it does look like it pulled it out a little bit. I don't generally worry about it. I mostly just sand it down and get it to where I want it. I use the needle files, and I use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then a 28mm base. So I've already done one. That's not very much. There's 2. Let's do 2 next. I should change glasses so I can actually see this a little bit better when I got it close to my face. It was interesting. I saw something today where they were talking about the new Oppenheimer movie that, you know, Christopher Nolan loves. IMAX, and they had to use, see, now that kind of pulled at it and it stressed this. Should be okay. It's only got 3 points of connection. They have to use a Palm Pilot, although they were using it in the video that they were referencing. They used a virtual Palm Pilot to control the reels. Somebody's like, why don't they upgrade that? But the reality is are they going to continue to do 70 millimeter film? You know, they're doing it all digitally now. Too much trimmed equals a battle scar. That's 100%. 100% correct. Oh yeah, I should show you some of the, I'll go pull them off here real quick. Ref Tom Green here is showing us. He painted a bunch of little things for us over time, but he did little pawns. I don't know where the faces are. They're around here somewhere. But he had little pawns that he sculpted the characters for me, Dave, Aaron, and Nikki. And they're really great, really great. He did not go crazy with them, but he made some fun stuff. So you can see some, he's really great. He did sculpts of us, which were really cool. They're around somewhere. I think they're like in a box so they don't get messed up because they're kind of flat. Anyway, so here's Dave. And Dave's player color, by the way, yellow, which is really cool. And then here's Nikki with the purple hair and her favorite player color. And then here's Aaron with his favorite player color. And then here's me. I got gray hair there. I mean, I do have some gray hair, but it's kind of a mix of brown. And I'm green. I don't necessarily have a player color. It looks like they had to make mine. Tom had to make mine, paint them green because he didn't have those. But yeah, this is a cool idea. You know, he designs games, and so he probably has his player, his box of parts that you can use to do that. But these are really cute. Thanks again, Tom, for that. Tom actually is in the Dallas area and comes to some of the BGG. He didn't make it to the last one, some of the BG Con stuff, and he has been, I believe, a Team Geek member as well, so he is involved. We actually met him and his wife at Madness Comics and Games. We have not been to, we did not make it to Madness the last few times. We love it. It's a little that although Scott lives closer to it now, but we always have so much stuff going on, so we never really get to do that. So that was 3. Here's 2. So these are a little fatter. Let me see. Let me just try these old ones. I think these jaws, well, they seem like they're about the same walls, so I don't know. I would like a really good pair of cutters, but man, they're expensive. I loved those bypass shear ones that I used back a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago. My friend, I think it was Alf that had those. But goodness gracious, were those things good. So there's 1, 2, 3. Where is 4? Is 4 on a different sprue? There's 5 and 6. 7. Oh, there's 4. But it's interesting. These are little. It's interesting that they are push fit, but it looks like you can do some posing, a little bit of posing with them. Which, you know, these guys are running around on all 6s or whatever they got going on here, all 4s. So you, wouldn't do too much with them. That was 4. Oh wow. Is this the second one? It has to be. I'm going the first 2. I'm getting carried away here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just stop on 5. And let's put this one together. So let's clean it. I do have the Citadel mold line cleaner, and there's a newer version of this. This one's older. They are not cheap, but the nice thing about these is you're not going to poke yourself easily with these. I mean, any of this stuff you got to be cautious about it. But you just scrape it off. You smooth it out to get the line smoothed out. And I got to tell you, people kind of badmouth this device when it came out, but I liked it. It's not. I mean, I use an X-Acto as well, and I usually use like an X-Acto knife with a weak blade on it. So it's already kind of blunt. At least the pokey end, right? But you can see it's not too hard, and you could do this with an X-Acto. Let's use, hey, the one that I've left open here when I open the box. That's not a good idea. So here, this is one that I would use a file on. And I have this flat file. I have some other ones around, but I don't know where I put them. Did I pull them out? Nope. They're around somewhere. I have like several different kits of flat files. Let's zoom in a wee bit more here. So this one, let's get it to focus here. It's a flat surface, so I don't think I could do a good job. But I would just use like a file like this. These, you can get some very inexpensive ones. They don't need to be too crazy. They don't last forever necessarily either. I've had several sets over the years where, I mean, probably because I used to do metal filing with them. Because when I started doing GW stuff, only the big boxes had plastic. Everything else was white metal, they call it. Maybe tin with some of the lead in it back in the older ones that I might have had my hands on. So you can see here, this kind of had, it's going to be some of what Tom says is the battle damage. Steven is his name, by the way. But I don't worry about it either, right? It's not a big deal. But you should, obviously you really want to do this, but you should also spend a little bit of time cleaning everything up. That is my problem. So I recently showed on the stream when I was explaining like kind of the tools you need to get started and paints and things like that. I did a stream a couple weeks back, probably before the cruise, definitely before the cruise, where I showed Jessica Jones. Gosh darn, I can never remember her name. Where's she at here? I fixed her. Oh, here it is. So I use this mold line to clean this mold line cleaner to clean the mold line here, and it took the paint off, and now you can see it. It's been touched up. It's not, hilariously, it's the same colors, but it's not airbrushed, and it's blended, so it looks more like of a brownish color to me. But once it's painted, you'll never see that. But I cleaned it off, and then I had to touch it up afterwards. You should spend the time beforehand so that you don't have to do that. But I have run into several things that I thought I've cleaned it. My biggest trouble with all these from the CMON stuff is that it's assembled, right? You can see the pieces put together, like I'm sure this head, it is actually added on, this the torso and then the legs. And I tend to forget about it. Like, oh, I really should clean these off. Like, this is not very good here on Moon Knight. I need to fix that. And it's much better if you do that before you paint them. But again, it's not that hard. I was able to touch it up before I paint it, so we'll see. Let's see. So yeah, I don't know. So I tend to cut away, right? If I'm using a knife, I cut away from me. I do not want to cut myself. Now, don't get me wrong, I poked myself many times with X-Acto knives. And it's not great. You saw me, I almost went the other way. But I really try to go away from me. You got to be careful. You don't want to get poked, and it's definitely, especially, if you're going to have a young person work on it, definitely get something like this. This is not cheap. I mean, you could have them try to use a dull X-Acto, but I feel this is much safer. I mean, look at this thing. It still looks brand new, really. It's a little bit worn out for me just using it, but it hasn't rubbed off all the color of this, whatever this handle is. But I've used it a bunch, and it still does a great job. It's very hard edge. It is fat, right? But let's see if I could just do some here. I mean, that's where it's kind of like a combination of tools. But I had stabbed myself enough, even though I've used X-Acto knives forever. You know, basically when I got an Airbrush, maybe a little bit before that, I was using an X-Acto knife. My dad was crazy enough to let me do that stuff on my own. And you know, obviously I developed a little bit of concern about hurting myself, and I've done perfectly fine. You know, it's hard. Now this is a weird one. Maybe if we tear this one out, it'll be his rectum. Let's see here. You know, and some of these, they do a pretty good job of, I mean, the head, though, is challenging. But they do a pretty good job of, like, hiding things on a lot of these nowadays where they put it in a spot. There you go, I'm cutting towards myself. But I really don't like to do that. So that when you assemble it, you don't necessarily see it. Like, they put the mold lines where it's not necessarily visible. It really depends on the unit. I love that they're actually trying to do the press fit. Now, one of the suggestions is that you, especially if you're going to glue it, that you trim off a bit of this post so that it will have room for the glue, because these are engineered to go together very tightly. And I am not going to glue that since we're going to do this here today. I would normally do that. This is not too spindly, but this is pretty darn spindly. It is 6 legs. I was not incorrect. Or 4 legs and an arm. They're very insect-like. Let's see here. What was I looking at that I realized needed to be? But you can see, I mean, I don't know if you can really see it, but there is not, they really do a good job with the mold lines. You just still need to look. Like, there's some stuff going on. You're not seeing it. There's some stuff going on right here that I would definitely normally do. Just a tiny little. The funny thing is, you know, oh, it doesn't look so bad, and then you paint it, and then it all of a sudden is amplified. So I will come and just trim off that little bit. I don't know if you can actually see it. I'm also ridiculous. I spend way too much time, but there's another one there. See, now this is where a smaller blade is better. I can reach in there and do that. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, I did this end here, which still isn't very good, but I didn't do the other underside one. Again, cutting towards myself. Really cut away. Now, the level of this that you do it's up to you. You don't have to go crazy. I'm just dissatisfied when I don't do that, because I try to do a decent job on the painting. I'm not the world's greatest painter or anything like that, but you don't have to be. But I'm generally pretty disappointed if I didn't come in and do a good job of cleaning it up. It's not that hard, but you know, there's how many units on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think it said 8. So there's 8 units. It's going to take a little bit of time to clean all these, but ultimately I would be happy, much happier in the end. Now, so another thing I won't do today. I'm not going to paint them anyway, but I clean my minis before I paint them. If I were to use a rattle can paint to do the base coat, the priming, or the base coat, I would use. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Like right now, I'm handling it. I'm not a particularly oily skin person, but you tend to put your oils on the miniature and it's harder to paint, and it definitely doesn't mean it's going to stick. I've been using, as I said, I've been using the Badger Stynylrez. That seems to do a pretty good job, but I still prefer to wash them with soapy water and a toothbrush before painting to just guarantee that, especially if you're going to handle them. Wow, look at that. So there's some ribbing here on this tongue, which I would be very cautious about, like trying not to ruin, right? So that's one of the things you have to be very cautious about. So there's, his chin has a little split here. This is crazy. But I do this every time. So if you're going insane right now, I understand your pain, but I cannot do it. But it looks pretty good. It won't be too bad. Okay, that's the main body. Let's do the first limb. This is the second piece that you're going to install anyway. So yeah, you're not going to be posing this. This actually fits in a specific position. Boy howdy. It is really hot for us. It's not as hot as it gets necessarily during the summertime here in Southern California, but right now it's surprisingly humid. Last night I was working on stuff and just sweating in the house. We just didn't have the AC going at that time because we thought it was cooling down, but it was still humid. I have the AC going in the studio here, but I'm nervous about it. Like, we have brownouts and stuff now, which we didn't used to have really. But you know, I think it's just more and more people doing things like getting air conditioning because you got to have it here anyway, and so it causes brownouts, which I don't want to happen. I mean, if that happened, which it could, as I'm streaming here, we'd probably lose the well, all things would shut down, but definitely the internet would go down, and I would have to. Actually, this computer in here does not have, that's running the stuff, does not have a UPS on it, and I have a new UPS I should consider. I can't remember what I bought it for. I bought it because I thought something else was failing. See, I'm cutting to myself. You really shouldn't. Learn from me. This will be great. I'm going to jinx myself, but I do not want to cut myself on camera. I actually have a cut on my finger. Which one was it? You can see, oh, here it is. You can see the scar. I didn't stitch it. I didn't think it was that bad, but boy, it took a little bit of time to heal, and I should have gone to get a stitch or two. I actually never had a stitch till recently when I got chopped trying to help Nikki with something, and I was like, you got to be really careful with this stuff. It was really bad. It wasn't a lot of bleeding, but goodness gracious, I did have to go get a single stitch. I got my first ever stitch. I would like to get a painting group here in LA. I mean, I used to paint with our friends that got me into 40K, and it was great. I mean, it kind of faded off for some of those folks pretty quickly, but me and the other, I'm one of those. I'm in it. I get in that stuff and I'm in it. We would get together, and that was Alf, and he is such a great painter, really great. I haven't spoken with him for many years. He moved away to the East Coast and got, his job, graduated from school and got crazy with his job, and so, and I don't think I met up with him since he moved. I'm sure he's been back to town. There's been weddings and things like that, but I've not ran into him. So do they do this first? They sure do. We're gonna go for it. I think that these are, let me double check. I can't not look more. So, you push this in, and you really have to do a good job. So one of the other reasons why you might want to trim, I just dropped that. Where did it go? One of the other reasons you might want, wow, I really dropped it. You might want to trim them is because, wow, where did it go? Did it bounce off of me? Can't hear it because I actually have earbuds in here. Oh, I didn't actually look what's in here. I need to do that too. These are probably dice, I would imagine, now that I don't even have to think about it. Is if you put them together by hand, wow, is it on top of here? Nope. So it must have fallen to the floor. Boy, I didn't hear that at all. But when you're putting them together, and we aren't going to really be able to show that unless I have the piece. Where is it? There might be a gap, and it's too hard. Like once they're pushed together, there is no fixing that. Let me get some flashlight here. I don't see it at all. Boy, that is hilarious. I've had that like gone in the vacuum kind of a thing. It's got to be sitting here though. Let me move this since I don't need it so much. I understand how these work. So I didn't poke myself yet, but I've lost an item. There we go, flashlight. I got the worst glasses for this, so let me look around. Boy, this is terrible. I need the actual seeing glasses. I can actually see some, but not enough. There it is. No wonder I didn't hear it. Went on the carpet. I actually have a mat here for me to roll my chair around, and I hear stuff falling off that all the time. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, this is the risk here, right? I'm gonna go for it. When you push this together, it might not join well. Now this seems like it would be a perfectly fine one, but yeah, if you trim it a little bit, number one, that helps you make sure that you can put it together, and you can also glue it because the glue actually interferes with the. Actually, let me just do. I can't not do a little bit of trimming. Let me switch back to these other glasses. But I have been impressed with the press fit stuff. I think it's such a great idea, especially for new folks to not have to deal with glue, which, you know, that's a whole nother level of stuff. I'm going to try to poke myself here. Let me actually just sand it with the file. Emery boards are great too. I actually have some emery boards that Adam got me, Smasher. I could not get them online, and he had them at his local store. We have some model places. Hobbytown is one of them. I don't know where they're at anymore. They closed the one nearest to us. Actually, I think I bought this glue at Hobbytown in Dallas, this Plastruct. I can't actually believe I brought that home. I wonder if I shipped that, because there's no way I put that on an airplane. I think I must have had it shipped. There's no way I put that on an airplane. Okay, so let's go. So I'm going to just push it together, and you want to press it solidly without hurting it, you know, hurting yourself or it. And look, that's actually pretty great. There is no, you know, this is how well these are designed nowadays. So that's cool, right? And it could work its way out. So there you go. This may be the case for some glue, which I believe it is. But that's okay. So I am going to glue this. I mean, that seems like a little bit of work to get it out, but I did sort of trim it. I'm going to break from the GW method here. Whew, this stuff is smelly. So yeah, that's another thing. It's just these paints or these glues are just toxic. Wow, that is strong stuff. Okay, so in this case, I have to really hold it for a bit of time because it takes some time for the glue to dissolve and then put it back together. So this is literally melting the plastic and joining it with the other surface. You probably should put a little bit on both. I did not. It should be enough. Now, I can't wriggle it free to see how well it did because it will come off, but it shouldn't come off. Now I have to seal that back up. But I mean, I use this, but it is evaporated, and I'm not certain, like this is a glass bottle with this lid, and it just does not do a good job of sealing it. Anyway, there we go. So that has one more limb, which is probably going to be this one here. So you could potentially move it, like you can have him really pointing it probably, or although I think it has it going, leaning down. Let me look here, I've closed the book up. But I will probably continue with painting these termagants and rippers, although they look kind of... Oh, there you go. There's the little guys here. I didn't even see those. Yeah, the gun. It's cool though. I mean, you know, the lore of these is that they land on the planet and just wipe it out. You know, completely rip all the... so you can see here, this actually has like a bit of a fin that goes inside underneath the carapace here. So that's going to be pretty solid. Now I need to file this. But yeah, they basically clean the planet off. So there you can see I did not do a good job. Oops, you can't see it. I did not do a good job of trimming that off, but that looks sort of like it should be a spine, but it is not, I don't think. Wow. Let me figure out what I want to do on that. So I'm just cleaning it a little bit flatter. Let me do the other ones here. They had a really nice set of, the ones that I think that are bypass nippers. They were very expensive, but they look cool. You know, they had a neat design. I'm making the case for their mold line remover, but it's not so great for me for these kinds of things. Now some of this might be hidden by the carapace, right? The way these, as I said, they do a pretty good job of concealing some of that stuff. So this is the other side, isn't it? No, it's this side. So let me just dry fit it. Well, it's not done. I'm just getting carried away here. We'll use this again. They do have a new version of this. I think it's a little bit better as far as smaller, more pointy, you know, still so you can't really easily hurt yourself. I mean, you can hurt yourself with anything. It's gotta be a little cautious. Boy, these are tiny. Oh wow, there's a big chunk there that I didn't clean off either. Well, let me see if I can do it. I just feel that I can't do as good a job with these and I end up doing more damage than good. We are gearing up so next week, wow, you know what, I said we'd be back next Thursday. We will not be back next Thursday for game night. This is it. So tonight I do this, and then Tuesday morning I will do a live stream with more of this probably. And then we leave on Thursday to go to Dallas before we go to Indianapolis. So we're getting, you know, because Gen Con is the following week. We leave like on Thursday, and then we go to Indianapolis on Monday, I believe. So that should be fun. We're looking forward to it. We will be wearing masks. Nikki's mom's radiation therapy is not quite done yet, but we definitely, I mean, we've been wearing masks anyway, but especially because we don't want her getting sick. And Deborah's going to be there. She is doing a couple of events. I think she's doing Gloomhaven playthroughs or something like that, the RPG. And then we will be hanging out with her and her husband and their son probably a little bit. But we're excited she's going to be there. It was fun. Last year was her first, I think the last stream, that was her first Gen Con, and it was more, she was excited about it because it was more like what she would be interested in rather than Comic-Con. Her husband is really into Comic-Con, and she usually does one day at Comic-Con, and he does several, if not all of the days. So let's see here. It does not look like, it sure looks like that's a slot for this though, but it doesn't look like it actually goes in there. So let's see. I think it's supposed to join up. So yeah, you're not going to change this one. I'm going to glue this too. Sorry, can't help it. I'm a glue meister. I definitely need to get plastic. I like Tamiya extra thin cement. I actually have that, Tom or Steven. Let me see where it's at here. I like theirs too, and it actually has a brush on it as well. Let me do exactly that and show that. I pulled it out on the stream, so it's probably not where I normally have it, but I could have swore I put it back. It's good stuff. It's much thinner. I generally use it for sprue goo, which is where you mix some of the sprue, you chop it up and grind it up, and then soak it, put it inside that. That's mostly what I use it for, because I like the other stuff. You can join the parts and touch the glue to the joint and it will flow. Yeah, that's capillary action. Oh, there's the other piece I was looking for the other day. What the heck did I do with this stuff? I see other glass bottles. Okay, I need to get some more gold. Actually, I don't need it. I need to just use the gold that I got from Monument Hobbies. I like their gold. The gold that GW makes is pretty great. Retributor armor. Wow, where did I put that stuff? I did make kind of a mess when I did that live stream, so everything got rejiggered. Harumph, I say. Wow. I thought I put it right, or maybe I put it behind this or something. Nope, there it is, hidden behind the bottle. So this is what Tom's talking about, slash Steven. It's very thin. It does have a brush, so we'll use some of that since we're going to do it right here. And here's the thing. This stuff helps. Look how fine the brush is, too. This stuff kind of lubes it so that when you put the part in, as long as you get moving. So this has a pretty strong smell, too. It's not as bad, but it's bad. So yeah, you can go in after you've assembled it. Now I'm going to do some. And you can let it ooze into the cracks. It's not really ooze in, it just soaks in. So look, here we go already. I've probably should have trimmed it a little bit. So I'm going to hold it together. But what you can do is, like I was saying earlier, you can do sprue goo where you can fix a seam. Well, you can do that with the glue too. I've actually put it on, what has that got on his hand? Maybe it connects to the gun or something like that. It does. So this hand is actually holding the gun. But I've done where I've actually let the glue, this one or the micro weld one. I don't know if I've done it with plastic weld. I mean, I must have done it, but I've used their brush, which is much bigger. So Tom's saying you can use capillary action and get it to soak in. And it totally is, it's great stuff. The Tamiya is great. I don't know what it costs. I can't remember where I bought it. It's not at every hobby store that I go to. Whew, that stuff smells though. So I mean, it's not great. The fumes are not great. Thankfully we got air moving around in here. But I would generally do this even in a better ventilated space. So let's see here. I'm slumping in my chair, which is silly, but it's the best way to get this nut. So GW does some Games Workshop, Citadel. They do some crazy stuff. So you know, clearly they just keep stuff if people are buying it. They don't make this mat anymore, which I really like this mat. It's saved my bacon several times when I've spilled paint, because it has all these, you can't see them here, but they've got all these ridges to like capture the paint. And most paint is not that much of a problem with, but boy, the shades or the contrast paints are super fluid, and it goes everywhere fast. Although I think on the last stream, a week ago Tuesday, last Tuesday, I somehow spilled red. I spilled it right here. Through this. I still don't know what happened. It was like I lifted up and there was a bunch of red. You can see some of it's there. And It was pretty hilarious because one of the viewers came on and called it Spilladel, I guess is what he called it. I'd never heard that before, but it is true, man. These bottles are not great in that regard. So yeah, I mean, you kind of need to have extra thin is about $12 a bottle. Okay, there you go. I didn't buy it that long ago. I do not remember that price, but I'm pretty sure that was probably it. It does last a long time though. I mean, this bottle, I used to buy Tamiya. I have some Tamiya paints and stuff. I used to buy Tamiya exclusively. I used to build Tamiya models, and I love their paints, their acrylic enamels. I think that, although it's been a long time, the last Tamiya I built was a MX-5, Mazda MX-5, or is that 5? Is that the Miata? It was a, you know, I was like, oh, I want to do that in like the British Racing Green, so that was why I did it. I just wanted the color to paint it, you know. It's a fun model though. It's around somewhere. So these are, you can't see it. These are, you know, organic shapes. So you can conceal quite a bit of like problems just by, you know, look at, there's like gaps and scrapes and cuts and, you know, in the carapace and on the weapons here, it's all bio stuff. So it's not a big deal, right? You don't have to worry too much. Wow, look at this. The connection here is little bones or like in little segments. Let's see if I can see it here. I've never done any tournament against anything except, as I say, the Space Hulk. So I really don't. And you know, those are now 14 years ago that came out, which is insane. Also, I do this oops, can't see it, but I do this very lightly. I'm not using a lot of force because I really don't want it to fly off and cut me. So yeah, this one you're not going to be changing the shape. I mean, you could theoretically cut the hand and do something, but I'm not going to do that. It is holding it with he's holding the gun with two hands. His front. Yeah, this is not too bad. I mean, I'm taking a little bit of time here because I'm talking and showing you stuff, but it does not take that long. So I'm not putting I'm not trimming this at all, which you really should when you're using glue. Although who knows, I haven't done that many push fits recently, and maybe they've made some changes. That went together pretty well. Kind of need to hold it. Yeah, see, some of the glue came out and it got on my fingers. Now, it's not super glue. Boy, both of these sides have a little bit of stickiness. I'm not too worried about it. I will let this dry and then scrape it, because you can see my fingerprint on here. Let's see if it'll focus. Right here, where the glue came out and softened it, and then my hand kind of, it's not the same as super glue. It doesn't bond with it, but it stuck a little bit. Now, I don't have to worry about it too much again. Like, this is very organic. It's got all kinds of like, boy, I think that's more of me right there. You got my fingerprints. You guys, I can get my fingerprints off here. But yeah, this is actually how I would do if I were using the glue to actually conceal a join. I would do it while it's just after it's slightly dried, so that the plastic is pliable. Cool. But yeah, that's kind of my problem with, you know, when you're holding, you got to hold it. So press fit makes a case there where you're not going to have that problem for sure. Let's see. I don't know what is 28 and what, I guess I should measure it. Of course, I don't have a metric ruler here. I think these are 28. Oh, you know what the deal is? These are definitely 28. I think the bigger one is going to be for the little small units. Let me look at that picture. Good action shot. Dice flying. The bold Space Marines and sinister tyranid. Woof, that paint, the glue is still present here. It is a little strong. I don't know about, I definitely don't recommend that to kids. It's just too much. And I don't know how good it is to get it on your skin. But yeah, see, larger base for these units here. So everything else is going to use the 28. Let's look at the Space Marines. Those are first, right? I don't think there's any special command units in that, so they're all going to be 28. Oh, no, 32 on these. Okay, all of them. Interesting. You know, the size of the base has something to do with the strength of the unit sometimes. So yeah, there's the smallest one. This is going to be what these guys are on, I think. Wow. So, you know, there's a case to be made that you should do, look at this, has stuff poking out of it too, that you should do your bases sometimes before putting your miniature on, because you can, you know, you could dry fit it in there, because I think you have to glue this. I don't know, we'll see here in a minute. I'm pretty sure it'll probably press fit, but it probably isn't great. Oh, there's a lot of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe that must mean that some of the Marines. No, there's 5. That's it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. So they give you 2 extra bases. So yeah, these are kind of ugly, right? They got this big dimple in them. This one came off the sprue okay. Now, in this case, right, it's you put this over and it will basically conceal that, mostly, conceal that mark. Sometimes they don't. Or that hole. So in this case, it sort of covers it up. Now, I will probably glue this on, but I will do it from the backside like Tom was talking about, where you let it soak in through capillary action. Harbillary batteries. Focus, woof, strong stuff here. It dries so quickly. Or evaporates so quickly. It doesn't necessarily dry once you put it on. So I'm going to put these together and I'll do the basing. I have some terrain. I have a terrain kit. Tom was asking about blood effects. I have I bought a kit that GW did or does. It wasn't that long ago that I got it, but who knows if they still make it. That had like skulls that you could put on the base, which, you know, I'm probably going to do for these, because they're taking all the genetic, you know, the organic material and wiping the planet out. So I'll put some skulls down here, but I like their hoofs. So there you go. That's not that bad. It looks pretty good. It's pretty well cleaned. I mean, you'll get faster, and you would definitely be quicker than I am right now, because I'm talking and showing stuff. But let's work on the next one. I have a little bit more time. I have about another half an hour. Actually, probably have a little bit more time than that, if I would like. I need to call my mom. That's another thing about traveling that's rough. I don't like leaving my mom so much. It's not fun. Wow, that looks weird. It's 3D looking because it's focusing on the stuff below. Come on. Let me use theirs. I'm going to use these new ones. I have used these for 20 years or something like that. It's been a long time ago that I bought these. I actually bought several of them. I think one of these broke the so that's one thing I would say that's not so great about these. So supposedly these are, like, you can still buy these, you know, not from GW, but other manufacturers or other companies use this manufacturer. This breaks. This spring breaks. This does not use a spring. I mean, it has a spring mechanism, but it is these two flat metal parts, much less likely to break. This jaw is not so great. It's a little, I don't know if you can really see it, but it's not real smooth. But what they do is, you know, they grind it. Here, let's get a little bit in focus here if I can do it. You can't really see through it, but you can see it's not the greatest, but they grind it at once, you know, across the top. Now be careful you don't pinch yourself like I tried to do just there. These do the same thing, but they're a little bit better. So you might be able to, you know, there are other choices. I actually have my 3D printing kits. Here you go, I'll show you another one. This is another inexpensive one you can buy. This one's flatter. I don't really know the benefit or the, you know, flatter, smaller, right? You know, wow, look at that. You can see it's kind of, but you know, it's whatever. It's all you care about is this part here, but it looks like it's a pretty good join, and it's pretty small. No, these are thicker. But yeah, you can go. I mean, the nice thing is these are included, right? These are going to do the job, and they're pretty good. This seems like it might be pretty good too, right? It's not really heavy jaws where you're. I mean, if you're trimming metal and stuff like that, then yes, you might want to use a tougher one. But yeah, I broke the spring on these back in the day, and then this uses another kind of a wire thing here that it's not wire; it's actually a piece of metal that compresses when you push it together and then pushes it back. You know, I said this isn't going to break. It's less likely to, but I bet it could break as well. Hey, thanks for the follow, SH Audio, SCH Audio, Shaudio. Thanks for following. I'm trying to paint some. I opened up the latest Games Workshop Citadel starter box here, the Introductory Set. It's zoomed in very closely here, but yeah, this is the new one. It's pretty great. It gives you 5 Marines and 8. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, so there's 10. There's 10 of them plus this unit of little guys. Ripper Swarm. There we go. Should be remembering that. I've never played. I don't think any of my friends had them back in the day. Tyranids. And it's weird. I would think that they would love it, but they did not. So let's get back to trimming this next batch here. So I need this guy 5. I cut this already. Let's try these snippers and see how they work. Those are pretty good too. I'm not really, I mean, those bypass shears are great. They were so long ago, I don't even remember who manufactured them. So, and you know, I used to cut these with an X-Acto knife. So I would place the knife, I would orient it so that I could get it as flat as possible, and then I would just cut it. I definitely recommend trimmers. You're less likely to make I think that's where I actually trimmed off something I didn't want to trim off. Let's go to the ones that we have here because these are a little pokier than those. Yeah, these are good too. They're perfectly fine. And I don't think anybody should be buying any new ones until you get into the hobby more, and make sure that you're going to enjoy it. You know, I've had some friends that get into these types of things and they spend a bunch of money on it and then they don't really continue with it. That was actually Alf. Alf was a great painter, but he would continue the hobby, but he would switch. He switched armies so much and then he'd just sell the stuff off. Let's look at these dice. I'm sure they're just white dice, but yep. Hey, it stuck to the tape. They look perfectly fine. Although I don't need dice. That's one thing I don't need for sure. So there, that did a pretty good job. Each one of the trimmers did seem to do actually a probably better job on this one than the last one, where this one is not so you can't see it. This one's not so damaged. So I'm going to use this because that is kind of low. I don't think I've actually done much model prep on any of my streams. Again, you know, the Marvel United stuff, other than maybe trimming it, which you should, they already put them together, so it's not the same. I did see Deborah's movie, so she's got a movie that she's doing, and it's been announced, so it's out there. It's not Marvel related, but her movie, it's an independent film. It has been excluded. It is allowed to continue production. So I don't know if she filmed anything yet because I don't bother. I mean, we had a text exchange for a little while the other day, but I generally don't like to bother her. You know what I mean? She's got a busy life. And I don't know if she actually went to go film. The plan was she was going to train for this role and then go away and then come back for shooting. And I don't know when that was, but I saw that they announced I mean, I'm sure you can find it. I'm sure it's on IMDb. They announced her and a couple of other people that are in the movie. And hopefully that's fun. I don't know that she's filmed her part yet. I don't think she probably has, but you know, they have to get approval for that anyway, because it's detrimental. It's not a big studio with a lot of money. They've got their funding. They need to get to producing it because people have contracts and timing that, you know, basically it's independent, so they don't have the ability to reschedule that easily, and they probably just lose the person. And so it's pretty cool, and I know she was looking forward to doing it actually, so I read that this morning, which is cool. Happy for her. So this one's going to have a leg on it too, a different leg. So they're very similar. It's different though. It's a different arm going down. I love it though. They're not just all clones of the same mini. It doesn't look like anyway. No, it's not. There's the other leg here. Is touching the ground. Not on camera there. So that's neat. I don't know how. Maybe they're all different, right? It doesn't look like there's any repetition here. So that was 5. 6 over here. But I was saying GW stops making some of their stuff so quickly, or just it clearly doesn't sell. Like, I love this map, but it doesn't mean that others want to spend the money on it. I think it was $25 or $20 or something like that. I actually intended to buy a second one for Nikki because she threatens that she wants to get back to painting some stuff. And I never got it, and now I regret it because I like this one. Black is good. Probably better than because we have that mat that I showed on the stream that we sell in the BGG store that's peach colored. It's actually not too bad. I used it and it's not too bad to work with. It has like an integrated cup on it that you can compress. So that's all cool. But where's 7? There's 7. So this has got a connection point to the post that you mount it with, so got to be a little cautious. That's only 2 pieces on this one, 2 connection points. So this is the challenge. How do I get this? I think I'm going to try this smaller one, see if I can do a better job. Yeah, it's been a long time since I used those really supposedly great trimmers, so I don't really remember how good they were, and I don't know that they're still great. But okay, so that was 7. And here's 8. Switching back and forth. So that's all the pieces for this one. There's one, oh, so these are the swarm or whatever, Ripper Swarm. So there's 3 of them, and that may be all that it is. I think it is. Let's see. I'm sticking to something here. Freaking me out. Nope, there's more. At least one more. Cool. I did go to Harbor Freight. They have a new airbrush that they're carrying. They have 2 new airbrushes. They're called, they really kind of look more like this one. It has this type of a feature on it. They're called Avanti. One of them is like this, where it's gravity feed, and then they have another one that is siphon feed, like this other older. This is called from Central Pneumatic. I don't know if they call it Central Pneumatic on the new one. I don't think so. It's just the Avanti, but it's suction feed. I kind of feel like gravity feed's the better choice, but with suction feed, you can actually put, if you're basing, like priming a bunch of, or just painting a bunch of terrain or something like that, gravity feed is, I mean, siphon is pretty great, but I don't think it was this one, but one of these we got, because I did buy 2 inexpensive ones from Amazon. They had a huge bottle for gravity feed that you could, it's plastic, but you could do that too. So, but it's $25. I think the gravity feed is $25 and the siphon feed is $30. So that's pretty darn inexpensive. I will probably buy one to try it out. I almost bought it the other day, and I just thought about it for a minute. I'm not sure. I really don't need any other airbrushes. I have had my eye on another airbrush for no reason. I really don't need it. The nice thing about those, though, is they do use this connector, which is more standardized. Iwata's use this. The Badgers have this smaller connector, which I love Badger brushes. I've used them for years, so they don't really bother me. But I would prefer that they didn't use this anymore. There was like, they had like a survey about potentially switching, which obviously I don't think that happened. But they built an airbrush. I don't remember who they did it for, but they put this type of connector on it. So they OEM'd one for a company, and you know, it's fine. You can get an adapter. More things, like, so I have this is an actual Badger quick release connector, so this would go on a standard hose like these. And then you quick connect it with this, you know, but that's just more stuff. Like, it is nice to be able, if you're going to be switching airbrushes, it's nice to be able to just quickly pop them off. And then this is great because you can adjust the pressure somewhat, right? It's not the same as like using it on the compressor itself. You just pull this down to release it. But with something like this, this may be a Badger adapter, but I can get adapters that will specifically fit here and then load in that, so you could quick connect. I mean, here's one right here. I showed it earlier. And this one actually came, I only have one of this size because I mostly need him for the Badger. I have like 6 or 7 of these. This came with one of these airbrushes, and it's pretty great. They actually had a quick release as well. They just didn't have this adjustment. So I have the one on that I bought from Grex. Grex makes lots of components and airbrushes. I have thought about getting one of their airbrushes with the handle trigger. So this is again, it's more things that you put on the airbrush, but look how big and heavy this is, right? Bigger dial to do the adjustment. But yeah, it's kind of huge. And it just, I don't know. I'm confused about really where I'm at on all this stuff. I don't know. Because I love it. I think that it's great, but I really, it's such amount of stuff in your hand. And that's the thing about the Grex trigger gun. So it's like, it has an actual, you hold it and it has a trigger here that's got a handle plus a trigger that you can do airbrush. So it's probably a little bit more, you know, it's a greater pull to actually have it do a smaller travel, whereas this is pretty small travel. The funny thing is I have one of these that's a taller one. Same idea, right? You have to pull more to get it to do more paint, which means you can actually be more detail oriented with it. I actually should be putting one on this airbrush because I've noticed I have a tendency to overdo it and apply too much paint because I'm pulling on that trigger, and it goes pretty far. So this is, this is going to take a while to dry, but it's pretty good now. When you use this, that's the other thing about this. Even though cyanoacrylate glues, super glues, take some time for them to fully cure. They're more solid once they dry. But again, I feel that this liquid glues like this Tamiya cement or this Plastruct are a little more forgiving where they won't pop off. I actually had the arm pop off of one of these guys here when I was showing something. And this is truly one that is not press fit. Press fit. You adjust it to how you want to do it. But it just barely struck it, and it popped off the arm. So I will probably have to pin this just to really, even though it's just glued. But I did not have this glue. This plastic cements. There's that old plastic cement that you get that's from Testors that's in a tube and it's gel. That stuff works too, but it's definitely messy. You can't really control how much you put on. You end up over applying it all the time. They don't look like Marvel United Minis. It is true. I'm Horn's fan. I'm actually painting some GW stuff, working on some GW stuff. I actually have been working on these as well. I wanted to just get away from the Marvel United stuff. So I worked on these ones for Warhammer Underworlds. What's great about these is it's 4 minis to have a warband. That's all you need. So I want to work on these a little bit more. I did do some rust, so I dry brushed the silver, then I used I think I used Reikland Flesh Shade to give it a little bit of a rust patina to the rings on the chainmail. So I actually got a chance to paint this weekend. I wasn't as swarmed with things on Sunday. We had filmed on Saturday, and we're going to film again. So Rusty's supposedly coming this weekend, which will be great. We have not had Rusty play a game with us for a long time, so that'll be wonderful to have him over. Yeah, we're filming on Saturday for that. And I think we might have Mike soon back. He was here for Hamlet, which is on Kickstarter. They have an expansion, we liked Hamlet. I'm tempted to actually get the danged expansion and back it, but again, we don't need too many more games. And we cycle through. We put some stuff out. We send it to the BGG library. Yeah, see, look at that. That divot is very visible. So really, what I should be doing, I don't think I actually have any green stuff. Or I might have a small amount. I feel like I've used it semi-recently, but I don't know where it's at. But yeah, I almost feel like you should fill it. Now, again, you can go in and do this once it's together, but maybe I shouldn't glue it down. Just temporarily put it in the stand so that I can pull it out and do those types of things. I'm not sure how this one's going to do. It doesn't look like it will cover it up like that one did. Let's just find out. Yeah, see, so that's going to be visible. I will definitely not glue this down right now. But I do want to paint. I really would love to get back to some Marvel United stuff. I really love them. I haven't really painted anything on them since I worked on Daredevil and Elektra, so it's been a while before like some of our more recent travels. But I want to get back to them. They're fun. And I really need to get through them. As I was saying earlier, there's that new Spider-Man box that's going to be in retail. Is it Spider-Verse? I think that was the last one. So what they did on the previous 2 campaigns is they released the main game box before they shipped all the stuff from all the expansions and stretch goals. This time they're releasing this Spider-Man one, and then the main box won't be till the rest of the stuff is shipped. Probably they got some heat about that because people on the first one they didn't mention it till after the campaign closed, and people were upset because it's like, wait a second. And you know, we had to pay extra, and I was a crazy person and paid for that on the first one, and we didn't even play it. That was silly. Paid whatever, $17 or $14 for the shipping to expedite, you know, have it come out, because I was eager to, and I looked at the minis, I loved them, I knew I was going to be painting them, but I didn't. I'd heard it was, the expectations, keep your expectations low is what we heard, and I really like the game. I don't, you know, I don't think it's $1,000 game, because I'm crazy and I bought all the stuff. You can play it with the ones that come in the, actually I think they had it for as little as $9 or $8 during Prime Day. So I mean, gosh, just get that game for that kind of money and have fun with it. The miniatures are already in color. Here's, for example, they're not painted, but they're each faction, this is a good guy, is already colored, so you can play it right off the bat. Hey Nikki, you okay? Must be hearing things. I hope she's okay, actually. She's been working outside today in the yard this afternoon, and it is hot out there and humid. It's not that hot. It gets much hotter here sometimes, but the humidity makes it uncomfortable to work in, and I think you can't cool down as easily, right? When you have the humidity in the air, your body doesn't evaporate the sweat to cool you down. I was kind of shocked that she was doing it. I think she meant to get up early and do it and did not get up that early to do it, so. And we had to do some shopping this morning, grocery shopping this morning, so. I love these hooves though, they're pretty great. I was looking at some like Slaanesh Demonettes or something at one point. Vincent Venturella did a big demon that he did the whole, I think he submitted it, went to like a games day in the UK. They used to do games days here. I don't think they do them here anymore. They do have, I'm sure they don't do them anymore. They do have an award now at the, wherever they used to do the Crystal Brush at, what is the name of that? Anyway, it's an event in like March, and it starts with an A, and I don't remember. Anyway, so they do a full-on Golden Demon contest. Gosh darn it, Adepticon, there we go, finally. Okay, let's see here. So I'm going to do this. I think the thinner cement probably is, you don't necessarily need to worry about, although I'm sure Scott Kippen does the same thing. He uses good materials, so I don't think he would have like a thick glue. But he does trim it. He said he trims it so that it can do the you can glue it when you do the press fit stuff. But I'm not having any troubles. I mean, again, well, there you go. There's a little bit of a gap. Well, if I press it, it should be fine. So I need to hold it. I mean, I have so much Warhammer, so much stuff next to me here. Wow, there's an older one, Dark Vengeance. It's funny, I really love the 40K stuff, but I have probably more, well, individual boxes of minis, I have more 40K, 40,000. But I probably have more fantasy stuff as far as big box things. But yeah, I need to do them. That's the reality. It's pretty bad. Again, this is going to put the two hands together for the gun. Interesting. It's too bad. I actually would like it to be, well, you kind of can't. I'd like it to be in, I mean, you can cut this pin off and do whatever you want and glue it with like super glue or whatever, or pin it, and then you could fill that hole and maybe, but the problem is the hand is this post. So there isn't really the opportunity for conversions that you have with the normal, the standard assembly types. Now, you can do whatever you want. You can clip it, sculpt things on it. You can do some great stuff. I've only ever done minor conversion stuff. Mostly what I do is repair work where I'm trying to glue, actually, for example, I had to do, is she in here? Squirrel Girl, like her antenna, not her antenna, her ear broke off. And you can see it here. But like this ear was broken when we got it. And I sculpted one out of a piece of sprue. I took a piece of sprue and sculpted it and then glued it on. And it looks pretty good. You can't really tell. So, but I've done other real conversion stuff, but not really anything too crazy. Mostly what I would do is I would glue pieces from other, like change the heads or glue other pieces from stuff, which, believe me, is cool. It definitely can add variety to an army if you have too many of the same kind of units. So there you go. It sealed the gap on his rear there. So let's get this other arm. Sounds like Nikki's out there, so she survived. So I feel like I need to do this one first. I think I might have done that the last time. So it's the same thing. Oops. I guess we're going to go see Ghost again in September, which would be very exciting. We saw them in March of last year. Do you enjoy assembling minis, or is it a necessary evil for you, Horns fan? I actually don't mind it as a jigsaw puzzle. Absolutely, I agree with you. It says, Horns fan says, find assembly pretty relaxing, scratches the same itch as a jigsaw puzzle for me. I sort of agree. It's like Lego as well. What army am I working on? Hey, Jeffrey, I'm working on, these are not Leviathan nids, that would be fun. These are, this is part of, last week they introduced their new introductory set, and they sent this to me to feature it. So I did an unboxing, I'm doing some assembly. So there's the 10 termagants and the Ripper Swarm. Where is it? Oh, right here. It's not visible. And then the 5 that you do here. Hey! Thanks for the follow, Elusive98. So went through the parts that came in the game. They give you 5 paints. You definitely need more. They don't have any washes in here, but that will get you started. And you can always thin this out with like a medium and then just use that as a wash, or the purple as a wash on top of the wraith bone. So all these would be pretty great. They give you a paintbrush, which let's see how that's doing. The point is still a little damaged. They had the protector that usually goes on the bristle in front. It was stuck on the back. Now, I'm sure it was actually, well, am I sure? I don't know, because how the heck would that actually fall off and then land back on the handle? But regardless, this is just a very basic starter brush, but it's still not bad, and get you started. And they give you the knife. They give you dice, they give you 16 minis, the book, which shows you how to assemble the stuff, and painting suggestions. You don't have to do anything the way I like to paint, often the way they suggest, because I don't have to think about it, and it gets me getting to it and getting it done quicker. I don't think that person is actually painting that right there at all. But yeah, it's pretty great. Lots of great stuff. But yeah, this is related to Leviathan, but it is not. This is the very beginning starter set, which is pretty great, because these are, full bottles of paint, unlike the old one I had. I think it was a different kind of set though, but they had these little teeny bottles with barely any paint in them. That's fine. They want me to buy more stuff. I'm gonna buy it. I'm crazy. I love all this stuff. And I do really enjoy using their paints. Hey, thanks for the follow, Zamora70. I do love, I do love their paints for the most part. I think their contrast paints are great. I've not used any of the other brands yet, but I would love to try them. I will at some point. But I will say, Horns Fan 01, I will say assembling means I'm going to clean them better. When I do I was talking about it a little bit earlier, when I do these, they're built, and I actually don't fill gaps or anything like that. And these don't work with this glue, so I can't do like the sprue goo kind of action. You have to literally use putty. And I tend not to do that, but if you notice here, there's like a bit of flashing in his underarm, which isn't necessarily that bad. As I was saying earlier, they mostly do a pretty good job nowadays of building it so that you don't have that problem. These are still the very first run of, I'm still on those, the very first run of the CMON minis, so the plastic is softer and not quite as good as like to do cleanup on it. But the newer ones are harder plastic, which people seem to be responding to more favorably. But like I said, this arm broke off in shipping very easily. So I'm not sure, and look at that, there's a piece right there that I didn't clean. I actually worked on this one and cleaned it up somewhat, and it's not that great. But I find that I do a better job of doing this cleaning if I assemble. Now I'm going to try to, I keep doing it, and I think I've done a good job, and then I see it once it's primed or painted, and I'm like, oh, I completely missed that spot. Anyway, I had to pin that. So when I did that, I didn't explain it. I had to pin it, so I used a pin vise, which this is probably the bit I used, and drilled it in and went so that it would be the same direction all the way through, straight. And then, and I figured it out by drilling a hole in, let's say, this part of the arm, then took a piece of, I usually use like a paper clip that I've clipped, and I stuck it in there, just a piece of it, and then pushed it into the place like where it was so that it would hold where that pin was going to go. Then I would drill the other direction and try to keep it in the same direction, same axis and everything, and then glue it and hold it together. This took a ton of glue, ton of super glue. None of these other glues worked, but it finally held. You can see some gaps here. That I believe all that stuff is like sort of like that. There's a big gap here. I didn't fix this, and that's the downer. Wow, there's another big bit of stuff that I didn't clean up. That's kind of the downer about these, is that I love the minis, so I want them to look pretty nice. Not doing that on camera, and you can see over here it's all over the place. You really need to spend some time on these things, and that's where I think assembly is easier. You're looking at each piece. You've seen how the mold lines probably are working because of cutting them off the sprue. Wow, it's already 7:30. I'll go a little bit longer. But yeah, I think that and again, it is, I like all of the stuff in the hobby. I have fun with, I don't feel anything's really too annoying. Let me see if I can just do that. Well, I really kind of need to see how this goes together. The problem is, boy, this one arm does not go on here very easily. Yeah, these are push fit, but I gotta tell you, I would glue these. So yeah, I mean, you could do this. I'm actually getting it together, and it pushes together. It's there, but I would glue them. And I think I should put this arm. I think I'm gonna do this arm first. The problem is the orientation is weird, right? Like. It's kind of going to be stuck. Well, you know what? I'm going to do what Steven suggested, which is just, well, The problem is that's not really gluing it. There's an actual pin here. How you doing, Nikki P? Hope she's okay. She's moving around. Nikki! Nick? No, don't know. Got some glue on his arm, which is a bummer. I mean, it'll dry up perfectly fine as long as I don't touch it. So I'm trying not to touch it in that spot. You do have to hold them. I will say about assembling this stuff, they have much better instructions than they used to. So it's much easier to put them together. And you know, they're labeled. Like this is B, this is the second unit. This first one was A. Let's see if this one has C on its foot. Wow, it doesn't have the post on that one, so it's on this other leg. Hey, it doesn't say C. Interesting. The other ones had that. Maybe it's on something else. Nope. Interesting. I'm like showing you this and it's not even on there. Okay, so that arm is glued there, but notice it's crooked. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue in here, leaving the bottle open, which is not, I mean, it's semi-closed, but so you put it in there. That's what's great about this. Oof, it's smelly though. Now I'll hold this, you can't really see it, but it had a little bit of a gap. And now with me putting that glue in there and holding it, it should do a pretty solid join. But boy, you got to hold it for a while. My own flesh there. I don't know. Oh, you know, maybe that's some of the glue from the other join. It's not really my skin. But that did a pretty good job of putting it together. That is what I like about it. I cannot do that with super glue. Super glue just does not work like that. So you know what? I'm going to do the same thing here. Well, the problem is I can only totally do that. There's a gap there, but I'm going to do the glue here. I did not do a very good job. You can see some flashing there. That's kind of a lot of glue. So I'm going to do this one before it gets, well, again, this is much more flexible. Hey, time roller. Kind of does not go in any further on that one. I mean, that could be me too. I might have just put the angles wrong. But you're not going to notice it. It's in his armpit, you know, so. But I did not do a good job cleaning that right there. Okay. That's pretty good. He looks cool. It's different. You can see it's a much different pose. Well, not much different, but different. Now, like I said, I'm not going to glue this one on the base yet because I want to fill these holes. There's one that's at least trimmed down a little bit. Does it rotate one? Yeah, I guess so. There you go. That looks cool. I mean, obviously, these are like xenomorphs, so they're like aliens. Okay. Well, I think that is it for today. I hope you guys had fun seeing this stuff. It's cool. Thanks again to Games Workshop for sending me this set. I would actually like to try to get the whole thing. Maybe Nikki and I can do a date night with it. I'm not sure how much fun she would have with it. I've actually never played Warhammer Underworlds with her either, and it's a fun game. It's quick. It's different, you know. It uses the minis, but it's a completely different kind of game. Let's see what we have here for who we can raid. '80s music, '80s dance party. Scott has been watching some guy on Twitch that, like a DJ thing where he's also dancing. It's pretty great. I don't remember the name. Looks like they're playing, Defube's playing something. So let's go there. If you guys, sorry folks on YouTube, we won't be able to join us on that. Looks more aggressive. Yeah, they're definitely cool looking. I really love the faces too on these. They're great. So if you want to join us on Twitch for the raid, just go ahead and click through and say hello for us. And everybody have a great weekend. I will be back next Tuesday, but then as I said, this will be the last thing. Next Tuesday will be the last thing we do for a little over almost 2 weeks, because I think we return on Monday. And so that Tuesday, we'll probably come back and do a game night. Maybe I'll do another paint, and then we do a game night on Thursday, Game Night Live. Okay, everybody, take care, and thanks for joining me. Let's see if that works here. I say I'm starting the raid. I'm not goodbye yet. Let's see here. There we go. Take care, everybody. Hey, I'm still here on YouTube. Let me do that too. Okay, everybody, take care. I wish we could raid on YouTube. That would be awesome.